Let's compare both the sensor. This is my smaller size sensor which I bought for approximately, I have used this sensor for more than 1.5 years, and this sensor works pretty much fine. And since I bought this sensor, I have used first generation of the software till now, and this sensor works pretty smooth. Okay, but I want to have a secondary sensor because I have two clinics. That's why I have bought another sensor of Woodpecker eye sensor, but this is a size 2 sensor which is an H2, and this is a standard size sensor which is an H1. So let's compare both the sensors side by side and see what's the difference, what are the advantages of having H2 size sensor, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of having a smaller size sensor. So let's see side by side. So you can see I have two sensors side by side. This is an H2, this is an H1. So while you compare the width of the sensor is almost similar. There is no difference, but the length and the height is very different. So you can see this have a smaller working area which limits your exposure while you do the molar. If you do the RC of a molar, mainly upper 6 or 7, so it limits your exposure area, which we always manage by giving a steep angle so that we could capture the palatal root, whereas this one have a very large exposure area which benefits while we do the x-ray of a 6 or 7 tooth number, which is an upper, which helps to get more information comparing with this one. But there are some limitation of using this sensor while using this. There are some limitations of using this sensor. What are the benefits and what are the disadvantages of having both the sensors? I will tell you now. As you can see, this is a smaller size sensor, so which benefits us to get a very good angle, very good x-ray of a lower anterior tooth, so it can go easily inside the tooth. So yeah, this is how we take the x-ray. We generally push the sensor to the sulcus area so that we could get the apical area of the tooth, whereas this is a larger size sensor which limits us to go inside the sulcus of the tooth. As you can see, it usually it doesn't go inside the tooth very easily, so that we have to do some adjustment just to take the anterior the x-ray of the anterior tooth. So for those who can manage this larger size sensor, I will suggest to go for a larger size sensor, as we generally do a RC of a posterior tooth. It is very complicated to do the RC of a posterior, mainly upper 6, 7. So this sensor gives you more benefit, more exposure and more information comparing with this one sensor. So if you do anterior x-ray, how you can do with the larger size sensor? So it's very easy. Just put the sensor where your sensor is. No matter if your sensor is completely immersed into the sulcus area, it doesn't matter. So just put the sensor where it is and do some angulations and do the x-ray angulation, so you can get a proper image of the tooth. So it doesn't make a lot of difference, but this sensor generally gives me more information, more exposure area, so I could get more information of the tooth so that we can do better treatment for the patient. So this, I suggest you to go with this H2 instead of going with H1. So both the sensors work pretty fine, so I suggest you to go with any of the sensors as I have told you. So what are the advantages of having these sensors are completely enormous. These sensors work pretty much good. Both the sensors have a very good software. Both sensors run pretty well. I have never faced any kind of problem comparing with this one or that one. I've compared these sensors to the Nanopix, and in that Nanopix sensor I have faced several problems, like that software was very laggy, very buggy, so I didn't choose Nanopix, so I chose Woodpecker again. So that because of this strong software that I get from this Woodpecker eye sensor, so I chose this one. I had already a Woodpecker eye sensor, but I want another sensor for my another clinic. So I was confused to go with Nanopix or go with Woodpecker. So I just borrowed a sensor from my friend, and he gave me the sensor. I used that sensor for 1 month. I just made another video of that, so you must have seen. I will put a link in the description of that Nanopix, but when I compared this Woodpecker eye sensor with the NanoPix, I get better results with the Woodpecker eye sensor, and you get more information, and you get more user friendly. It is very user friendly, as well as you get more features. You can correct the image, you can sharp the image. It usually produces more detail than NanoPix. So that is all for today, guys. I will not say a lot of about the brand because it is not good. Some people like NanoPix, some people like Woodpecker. It's completely person to person which dentist prefer which sensor. I prefer this Woodpecker because I felt that this sensor works pretty well, and for me at least. So that's all for today, guys. See you in the next video.